Hello and welcome to the Netty cooking channel. As a Christmassy one, I'm going to be making a gluten-free stollen. Now I've never tried stollen before, so I had no idea what it was going to taste like, but I got my partner who has had real, shall we say, stollen, muggle stollen, and he told me about the difference and tried it to see what the difference was, to see if it was similar. Now he said it was more bready than cakey, but that's understandable because it's got yeast in. So these are all the ingredients I'm going to be using to make this gluten-free stollen. Got icing sugar to finish that off later on. I'll show you all the quantities a bit later on in the video as we go through them. Now if you have an egg allergy, do beware, some icing sugar may contain or will contain egg, so do have a look at the ingredients list just in case you're making this for someone who's got an egg allergy. Now I have got some tips on if you need to avoid dairy in this video as well, because I am myself lactose intolerant and I've got a dairy allergy, so hopefully this will help. So first off, I need to measure out 280 grams of bread flour. I use this one from it's a free from gluten one, so I'm just going to measure that out now and sift it as well behind the scenes. And to that I'm going to add a teaspoon of xanthan gum. And drop it all over everywhere as well. Try to get it in the bowl this time. 1 level teaspoon of xanthan gum. Now this stalk is brilliant if you need a vegan or dairy-free option. There is other ones available in the supermarkets, and I do hear that there's a Vitalite one coming out, a baking block I use sometimes. 1 teaspoon each of cinnamon and mixed spice. Feeling frisky, I put in a teaspoon of nutmeg as well, which I actually did. And 50 grams of ground almonds as well, which is a brilliant ingredient for making kormas as well on a different note. So I've got 2 duck eggs there, but I'd use 2 large eggs there. These are completely free range, happy ducks and that, but I do have some options again for people who are vegan or can't have eggs. This one is brilliant, the Cracked brand. It's a liquidy vegan egg. Oggs is fantastic for all sorts of things, especially meringues, but it's a great baking ingredient. Pardon me. And in there you got 60 grams of caster sugar as well. I like to use golden caster sugar because it's got a much nicer taste. So I've warmed up 110 millilitres of milk there, just at blood temperature, and you can't have it too hot or too cold, otherwise the yeast won't react. You need it to froth. Added a pack of yeast to that and a teaspoon of sugar as well, and it starts to froth, and you'll know it's doing it right after about 10 minutes. It should have a froth on it like a beer. So you can see where it started to froth there, and I just added some sugar and needed to mix that up. Get a good head on that. I've waited around about 10 minutes. Then I'm going to add that into the flour mix along with the spices, and I'll have a recipe below. I've not actually put a lot of the recipes in the description below for all my recipes because I'm chopping and changing the ingredients all the time, and I'd rather put my more up-to-date recipes in there. Now I'm just scraping away from the edges there with this. This is a mixer. I call it Hillbilly KitchenAid. It was from Argos and it's brilliant. I've for the very first time I used what I call a dough hook, but I might be wrong there. but I used them for the first time and it mixed it up brilliantly. Everything was incorporated really good. So I've never used that before. It's got different attachments on it. But yeah, make sure that's all incorporated together, everything, the sugar, the spices, the flour, the 2 eggs, all in there. What I like to do though is mix first with the whisk is the egg and the sugar together, and then add the flour and the spices and everything. So you can see there it's starting to come together, and it's pretty much as soon as it's all come away from the bowl, you're at the right kind of consistency to carry on, and that's the stage where I put in the dried fruit. Now you could also add mixed peel and the zest of an orange and a lemon as well, which will zhuzh it up a bit, shall we say. I don't actually like the word zhuzh, if I'm honest, but they just said it, oh no. So make sure that's all incorporated together there again. Now what I should have done there really was mix it by hand, and to make sure you mix it in a way that none of the air that you've put into that, but I did that, but it worked. It was fine, I think. Now the way I do this isn't the 100% you must do it this way or you'll do it wrong. I'm probably doing 1,000,001 things wrong, but this is the way that I do it, and it's the first time I've done it, so that's my excuse anyway. But I'll go over the recipes and everything, and they're going to be very soon in the new year actually. I'm talking 2024. The day I'm putting the voiceover for this is the 1st of January, and they'll all be in the description soon. So I've left that for about 3 hours, and until it doubles in size really, keep your eye on it. And there we go, that's doubled in size, that's brilliant. Smells like a brewery as well with the yeast. Poured that out onto a piece of cling film, and then what I'm going to do is put another piece of cling film on top of that, and it's got ice and sugar so it won't stick too much to the cling film, and I'm going to roll that out there in between those 2 sheets of cling film. Just makes it so much easier to put it in between the cling film, I find. So you want it about maybe 2 centimetres thick, and then you want to try and get it into a square shape as well if you can. I never can. I have to kind of end up cutting bits off and using the edge of the rolling pin to try and... I'm not a professional, I'm a home baker in every sense of the word. So we're going to do our marzipan layer as well. Got some icing sugar there just to help that it doesn't stick to the rolling pin. It's about 200 gram there, you can use more if you want. I think I will next time. Go up to 300 gram, why not? And that is a white marzipan. Now you can use the golden as well, the only difference is the colouring really. I think it's quite psychological if you think there's a difference in flavour. Just with white marzipan you can make it whatever colour you want. It makes it easier to add if you wanted to make it green or whatever you wanted. Because you haven't got the yellow pigment in it, it's going to be easier to add different food colourings to. Now I've popped that in the middle of the dough, shall we call it. And this is where I can get it into a square shape. Now I've got a camera attachment on my head while I'm filming this, so I do wholeheartedly apologise that you can't actually see much of what I'm doing, and I'm trying to get used to it. I've got to look down maybe a bit, but my peripheral vision I guess isn't matching up with what I should be showing you, but I'll get better at that hopefully. It's a learning curve, isn't it? But yeah, there we go anyway. But yeah, fold that in as you can see there how I've done it, and then I'm going to pop that cling film over the top of that, and we're going to give that a roll. Again, I'm sorry, my vision in that there. Just roll that out into a nice square, around about again 2 centimetres. I apologise, into a rectangle so it can fit into the baking tin. So I'm just going to line that baking tin with some greaseproof paper, pop that on the inside, and then do you know what I did? And it's stupid, I just basically threw that dough into the tin there. I should have made it a bit neater, but it isn't. Look at the state of that. It's still delicious, who cares? Right, so there we go. And I'm going to bake that for quite a long time. Insert here how long and at what degrees Celsius fan. I've forgotten. Well, I'm doing the voiceover. This is how it turned out anyway. Turn it upside down and no one knows what state you've made. But it looks good, doesn't it? It looks, shall we say, good enough to eat, and it really was. It was lovely. Gonna make it a bit prettier though. I've put a glaze on that, just with some apricot jam. Just warm it up a little bit and then brush it over. And then, just to make it a bit more like it's Christmas, some icing sugar I've just dusted over the top of that. And what we'll do is we'll cut it in half so you can see what it looks like. It looks a bit more appetising, shall we say. Let's cut that open. And there we go, perfect, with a cup of tea, sit down, watching a Christmas movie. Anyway, thank you for watching. Recipes will all be available soon, in a few months I'd say. And thank you ever so much for watching. I've seen another subscriber as well, so thank you ever so much. That's really kind and I appreciate it. I'm just doing this for my own growth really, trying to get confidence talking and stuff like that, because I do have a art channel as well, Any Art Netty and the Nitty Kitties. So if you want to check that out, please do. Thank you for watching, see you again soon, and bye for now, and Merry Christmas.